Hello. Welcome to an episode dedicated to some foam rolling and some myofascial release. Now, I know that in my history, I haven't been favourable to this kind of part of your training because it's boring half the time. I didn't know what to do. No one really showed me. I just kind of saw people in the gym doing it, but no one ever actually showed me what they were doing or why they were doing it. And I think this kind of stuff is really only ever implemented with discipline when you actually hurt yourself. So I want to cover over a few real basic things that you can do at home to help you with your recovery, with your myofascial release, learning about your body, where the tight spots are, and maybe you've got some imbalances that are causing some muscles to potentially overcompensate. I know for me, that's been my history. So uncovering this world of foam rolling has definitely come at a cost, but that cost I really feel comes down to some wisdom that I have learned, applied, and then grown along the way. So I'm just going to introduce you to a few of the different objects that you can gather for yourself for your own sort of stretching station at home. These can also be easily thrown into a bag or into a travel suitcase if you're wanting to travel with them as well. Ideally, the foam roller is a little bit harder to take traveling because it is a bit big, but essentially having one at home is essential. Now, when I first purchased my foam roller, that would have been 14 years ago now, it cost me $70 for one about this big. Now, this is not the one that's 14 years old, but essentially the one that I have that's 14 years old is blue, and I've had it for so long that even the kids have taken bite marks out of it, so it's definitely got some history. So, first and foremost, we've got the foam roller. These don't have to cost $70 or more. There's a whole heap of different sizes that you can get. You can get the really long ones, you can get the short ones, you can get vibrating ones, you can get ones with like seriously devious kind of spikes on them. Essentially, you just want a basic foam roller, and if you want something a little harder later on, then go and investigate it then. But these you can pick it up from Kmart, I believe, for around 10 to 15 bucks. So it's not going to set you back a whole heap in the kitty. The next thing that I have here is a larger size ball. Now this one is actually off a Body Spanner, which I have purchased, and you can look up more about Body Spanner if you wish. But this is just essentially a big ball. It's also very hard. I don't know if you can really hear that. It's also very hard, and I find it really good to get into sort of bigger areas and cover more ground. Then I've got a couple of other smaller balls here. This one's just a golf ball. I actually stole it from Steve's golf bag. I really like using it on my feet, but essentially this little prickly kind of a ball here is also very hard. It's good to use for your feet, but you can also use it into smaller little trigger point areas in your body. So that's also really useful, and again, doesn't take up much space. The next thing that I've got here is just a simple yoga block. Again, you can pick these up for Kmart for a couple of bucks. But what I like about the yoga block is in some of the stretches that you might do, it helps you to create a little bit of a point for your body to give it a little bit more stability and range of motion if you're wanting to make things a little easier while you're waiting for your body to soften. But what I really use the foam block for is to put my knees on. And you'll see that when we go to do the stretch. It's nice and foamy, it doesn't hurt, and I find that anywhere that's going to cause extra uncomfort in my body, I'm not really going to make it a habit because it's uncomfortable, and I find that having my knees on the ground and things like that really hurts. So I've just made it more user-friendly for myself to be able to do the things. The next thing that I've got here is very similar to a yoga block. I found this at Rebel Sport. It was about 15 bucks, and it's essentially just like this like a flexi pad. It's just a knee pad. But what I like about it is that it's way smaller than the foam block, and I can actually take it with me in my handbag if I am planning on doing some stretches outside of the house. And this one is just nice and simple. I can pop my knee onto it, and it gives me the same kind of cushioning that the foam block here does. And then the other thing that I've got, and your local trusty gym might just have some for you as well, but this is just one of the resistance bands that has obviously broken. Now things don't last forever, so I do understand that these kind of pieces of equipment, they are going to break, and we are going to chuck them out from time to time because they're not deemed to be able to use in here. but they also come in handy now for a secondary purpose. And in this regard, it's lots of stretching. There's so many things that you can do with a band. You don't even have to think about it. You can yak to your friends, you can chill out, you can do whatever you want, but you've also got the band. So I'm going to use the band for a couple of stretches as well. So now that we've got a little bit of an understanding on what each tool is, you can literally rustle them up. It won't take very long at all. And you can have them in your home in an area that's nice and easy to grab. Okay. Now, the first part of our stretching sequence that we're going to go through together is going to be with the foam roller. I think first and foremost, the foam roller is something that's so easy. Everyone needs to know how to use it and make it a part of your daily routine. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. You can do it as many times a day as you like, but I find for me it's just discipline. So grabbing hold of your foam roller, we're going to roll our quads first. These are the big muscle groups at the front of your legs, and they generally work most of the time when we're doing our lower body days. So grabbing hold of your foam roller block, we're just going to bring it to one side. Now what I like to do here, and I might go on a little bit of an angle, what I like to do here is bring it back underneath my hips and come down into a plank position. And then from here, I can just line that foam roller up just at the top of my knee there. Now from here, the other leg is going to come out like Spider-Man, and I'm just going to rest here and try and allow my body weight to drop down onto that foam roller. It is a patience game when you're foam rolling. Allow yourself anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour because you can actually get caught up here and quite enjoy it. But essentially you just want to start with little movements from the top of your knee and slowly work that foam roller up towards your hip. You're going to feel lots of tight spots here, and it might even cause you quite a little bit of pain if you haven't done this, or you're new to it, or you're extra tight from your training that you've been doing. So you can see here I'm just making small movements, bigger movements. I'd like to say I'm a seasoned pro on this bad boy now. I do it quite often, and I find now that I do actually need a firmer foam roller to be able to get into the bits. But essentially here, again, working from the top of the knee, slowly moving down. You're going to feel your muscles sort of move underneath the skin and over the bone. It's kind of cool. Sometimes you get like a blum. You can feel it. You can feel the release. But I'm just moving up and down in little and big movements, finding those tight spots and just ironing them out. Kind of the same as what a massage therapist would do, but it's not costing you $150 to do it. Ultimately though, you have to be in the driver's seat to do it. Now ideally, the length of time is how much time that you have and how much time you want to work with. I like to give myself a little bit of a set point or a target, 2 minutes per quad. Now the reason why I set 2 minutes, it's a bit of an inner disciplinary thing. If I can do 2 minutes, I'm usually in the zone, and it usually bleeds out to a little bit more. And a little bit more is good for the quad. Working right up into that hip area, but staying on the quad. Now we can also go in a little bit deeper. So if I just bring myself back to the middle, you can also flex through the knee, and you can feel that stretch in your quad. And then you can also relax and deepen that stretch and allow it to just drop in a little bit more. You can do that at any point up your quad, just flexion and extension of the knee there, and see what you can find. It's a bit of a game of curiosity when you're in it. So that is my right leg done. Feels pretty good, and I'm gonna assume that that's 2 minutes. So if you're following along with me and you're doing this yourself at home, well done. Let's hit the other side. So I'm just going to bring myself back up. I'm going to move the foam roller to the other side now. Again, rolling it back, setting it just above my knee. The other leg comes out like Spider-Man, and I'm going to come down onto my elbows. This side is a little bit tighter for me. I do have some overcompensating muscles on this side. So I'm just going to, again, work my magic, starting from that knee, trying to relax as much body weight as I can, and just rolling from the top of the knee all the way down to the top of the hip. You can roll fast, you can roll slow. I like going slow-ish because you can feel the tight spots and the pain. And sometimes if it's really, really, really painful, you don't really want to move fast over it. Slower is better. So hang out with me here if you're following at home. 2 minutes is our minimum standard that we're going to hit here. I can feel so much in this side. Lots of little areas. You can also try turning your toe out and getting a little bit more through that adductor. And also too, you can roll out a little bit further towards that lateral side or the outside edge of your quad as well. Again, you're looking for tight spots. You're looking for pain. Kind of weird, isn't it? But that's what you're looking for. Again, I can find that tight spot and I can come into flexion and extension. When I come up into that flexion here, I can really feel the tightness up a little bit higher. So I'm going to do a couple of repeats of this as I work my way back. From here, guys, you're just playing investigation to your own body. There's no right or wrong. You just got to get on it and move. Find the tight spots and ease them out. Easy ways to integrate this into your lifestyle is if you're at home and you enjoy watching a certain show or a program on TV in the evening to sort of decompress from the day. It's a great idea to get off the couch and get onto the floor. Much easier if you've got carpet in your lounge room. I find that our house at the moment has carpet and it's really unlocked for me some extra recovery time because I really enjoy flipping around on the floor and on the carpet. It's quite comfortable. And up in the bedroom, whereas some of our previous houses over the years, we've had tiles in either the lounge room and then wooden floors in the bedroom. So it hasn't really been a very inviting place to do some foam rolling, where you probably more find it in your gym setting on the rubber matting is probably the kindest place to do it. I can really feel the biggest tightness right up the top here. So I'm just going to work here for 30 or so seconds. I'm really trying to think about being heavy on the foam roller. That Spider-Man leg out to my right is basically there just to hold my body in a neutral position. I can feel it easing, and that stretch is becoming a lot more user-friendly now. Pretty cool. All right, so that's probably the most basic, and if you arrive to the gym early, that's a really good one to do because the foam rollers are always available to you, and literally 2 minutes per side whilst you roll up and down. You can be listening in on talk time or yapping with your friend. The next one we're going to hit is our adductor. So this one here, I'm going to send the foam roller in a long position. I'm going to roll it out to the side again, but I'm going to pop my inside of my thigh on that foam roller and again come down into a plank position. Now from here, you can see I'm opening out through the hip, and what I'm wanting to do, you can either flex and extend from the knee, but I'm really getting that inside part of the knee and I'm going to work it all the way up through the hip. But what I want to find is keeping my leg in this right angle to make sure that I stay on that adductor. It's really tight and it hurts. You'll find those muscles, they're a bitch. But again, like I said earlier, you want to find that pain and melt it away. And the only way that we're going to do that is by hanging out there, not applying too much pressure. Out of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the hardest pressure that you can get and 1 being like really light as a feather, you want to be a number 4. You want to come in with a bit of pressure, but not so much that your body just literally locks up or tightens up from the brutality of it. So go in gently and have that mindset that you're going to be doing this every day, gently, for a few minutes, rather than once a week, blast it hard and have that approach. So this really hurts on a pain level. I'm going to put this as a, oh look, my pain threshold is pretty high. I'm going to put it at a 7.5 to an 8, but I've got the pressure on it of a 4. So there's a bit of pain locked up in there. Just working small areas as I get further and further up into those bigger, thicker muscle fibers where there's not so much attachment points. It's a lot easier to apply more pressure and get in a little bit harder all the way up. It kind of feels really nice. And getting right up in there. Again, this is just a basic way of foam rolling. If you've got any specific injuries or niggles arising, it's best to talk to a physio or an osteo to get a much better recommendation around your body, your structure, and what your body needs to give it this kind of a release. These are just basic. These are the ones that I do every day, and anyone can do them every day. All right, that feels pretty good, and I reckon I've hit 2 minutes on this side. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I don't want my body to really lock up or give me any kind of bruising. But that feels quite nice now. I can handle it, so that's a good sign. And now we're just going to come over and do the other side. So take that foam roller across, bring that knee over the top, coming down into that plank position, and then just rolling that adductor. Again, from that inner thigh, around the top of your knee, little movements to find the pain, find that tension, and gently massage it away. This side on me ain't too bad. If you're with me, we're doing 2 minutes here as a minimum standard. It's really awesome to also take this time to potentially habit stack some other areas in your life that you're wanting to grow or develop. Some suggestions could be listening to a podcast or a particular specialist or artist that you like, whether you like listening to music. You could watch a movie. YouTube has got some incredible presenters on there. TED Talks are another great way to sort of lock in on a particular topic or a speaker that you might like. Knowledge really is power, but it's power to you. The more you know, the more you can do and the more that you can use. And I feel greatly that if I can learn it and do it and then teach it, it kind of locks it in even more. So you might learn something from this video today and then you might share it with a friend or a family member, and that's going to help you to lock in what you've learnt, use it, and then also inspire and help somebody else, which is a pretty cool ripple effect in life that I love. All right, I reckon that's 2 minutes, give or take. I can't really see and I don't have a timer. Timers are good. All right, so we've hit our quads and we've hit our adductors. Now the foam roller, you can use it for your hamstrings, but for me personally, I don't really get much out of it. But if you're wanting to do your hamstrings, just simply bringing it underneath you, popping one leg over the top, but then I like to fold one leg over to give it that little bit more pack and punch. From here, you're going to use your triceps to come with your butt up off the ground, and then we're simply rolling from the back of the knee all the way up to sort of the top of your butt. It feels good, but for me, it doesn't really take much tension away. You might like to stay here on the foam roller if it's enough for you. If you're wanting a little bit more, like I do right now, I'm going to grab that big ball that I showed you before. So you can stay with the foam roller, that's perfectly okay. I have been using this big ball and I find that it gets in and breaks up that the fascia, the muscle fascia a little bit better for me. So here I'm kind of taking the same approach. I'm just resting my body on top of the ball. I'm using my body weight to press down into the ball, and there is no set right or wrong, guys. You just roll around on that thing, find the tight bits, find the tension, You might move your leg left to right, up or down. It really doesn't matter, whatever works for you. But again, finding those tight spots, being an investigator in your own body and getting rid of them. 2 minutes on each leg. You can kind of see how investing in a massage once a month really does allow the mind to just relax as well and invest in somebody else doing all of this for you. They've also got other techniques that they can help to release really deep, tight muscles as well. Sometimes these are quite surface, that fascia over the top. I think the best way that I can explain the fascia, or the myofascia that we're talking about, how I understand it, I've got 2 kids, so Spider-Man and those animated series, you know how Spider-Man, he shoots his web out and that web can like cover stuff? Your myofascia I see is like a web. So you've got like this string of fascia all over your muscles, and then when you get sort of tight spots, is that fascia just creating knots or creating a lot of tension. So your job is to just find those bits in the fascia, in that tension, and just iron them out. And sometimes that tension can be further down than that myofascial side of things. So other elements like acupuncture can help. Dry needling is one that I swear by. It's kind of freaky just how long the nails are. Sorry if you're gory and you don't like needles, but I actually was silly one day and I asked my specialist how long the needles are for the dry needling. And the one that he pulled out of my glute was about that long. And I couldn't believe it. Now, every time that I go and get dry needling done, every time I go get my glutes needled, I just have this image in my head of this mega long needle going in my ass. But that's the reality of it. And to be honest, guys, you don't feel it. You absolutely do not feel it. They're so fine, and the specialists are so well trained in getting them in the right spots that you do not feel them. If anything, when you do some some dry needling, you might feel like this, like a muscle spasm, like a quiver, and that's just the muscle releasing. It's kind of a cool feeling. But yeah, dry needling is awesome. So now that I've hit that side, I'm just going to hit the other side. Even around. My left-hand side is where all the junk is, so ideally I should probably start on that side, but I find with my 2-minute sort of mandatory time that I'm going to cover all the bits that I need anyway. So the hardness of the ball I find just gets in a little deeper and a little bit stronger than the foam roller. And because it's somewhat smaller than a foam roller and harder, I can manipulate a little bit stronger in the bits that I want it to get into. And you can see here I'm really not thinking about it. I'm just sitting on a ball and rolling my leg around and talking to myself. Damn, it feels good though. And the reason why I like the big ball over these small little balls here that we've got is because it's easier to manipulate bits and have it bigger off the ground. Whereas I find with those small ones, as soon as I put my hammy over it, it's basically just gone and I can't feel it. So a nice big ball does the trick. I think at Rebel Sport they've got quite a big array of different kind of massage balls and releasing balls and all sorts of different stuff. This is just as far as my kit has really gone. I would love to get one of those scraping tools. I've seen them before. I know nothing about them, but they look pretty cool. But again, the cool thing about knowing nothing about something is that you have the curiosity and the want to know more about it. So you do, and then you learn, and then you can use it and teach others. All right, I'm going to estimate that that's 2 minutes. Now, with this ball, you can also use it to hit those adductor points as well. So just like we did with the foam roller earlier, which is a little kinder, if we want to go in just that little bit more, I suppose, tougher, what we can do here is line this hard ball up with the inside of our knee. And then from there, you can literally use it as a trigger point. So what I mean by trigger point, and again, I'm not a specialist in it, I literally do it for my own use, is finding the tight spots and then just holding it there and literally just breathing, relaxing, trying to get your body to just surrender to that particular point of pressure and the muscle group. And you can literally feel the pain go from a 10 down to like a 7. And that's all you need. You just need that little bit of a release of pain from a 10 to a 7, and you can move on. It doesn't really take a whole heap of time. That feels pretty good already. But again, it's like brushing your teeth. You just do it little and often every day, and it gets easier. And I think you too also build up the ability to get through it a little bit faster. I've definitely learnt about my body. I know the bits that I've got to get into, so it's getting quicker and quicker every time I do it because I can find the spots quicker, and I know the bits that my body loves as well, and the bits that continuously get tight. There it is there. I'm just going to hold it. It's a nice time just to reflect over your week, your day, your life, where you're at. A bit of a check-in with yourself. Allocating this time of the day just to run over your body and keep it humming for your performance and your mobility and being able to live in a space in your body that has freedom to move, and you're looking after it. It's like taking your car in for a service, but you got to do it every day. You get to know it on a much deeper level. Now, this video that I'm doing now is just for lower body. So I will come back again and do one for some upper body stuff to help you. But a lot of my junk is in the lower body because your gal wants to build a bunda, which is another word for glutes, glute goals. So I'm working them hard and the legs are copping a beating. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, and I fucking love that. Excuse my French. I always thought it was a bad thing to never be like for one thing. But I really love knowing a little bit about everything or having an experience in all different facets of fitness and the fitness industry and where it can take you. Done it all. And I love it. And at the moment I'm obviously wanting to work my glutes and build what I can at the age that I'm at and the nutrition that I am putting in. But I also know that my returns from that can somewhat be diminished because I am in a bit of a running era and I'm learning to run and develop my fitness and my endurance for longer distances. I have never been a runner, ever. In fact, I've loathed it from a very young age. But I'm looking for more challenges, and that's one that I've been trotting around for nearly 43 years. So we're in it. And to be honest, since Hyrox has come alive, that's when the recovery has just gone tenfold. Because if you don't give back to your body, that is one endurance sport that will have you in your knees. All right, so that's foam rolling and a little bit of ball through the adductor. Now, the other thing with this ball, or you might like to take a smaller ball, we're now going to be working with the balls. We're going to get into sort of the piriformis, into that glute muscle into the side here, which can often get tight. I like using the big ball, whichever ball you have. You're simply going to lift your hips from the floor. You're going to bring this ball into that sort of a side glute area. And again, rolling around until you find a tight spot. And it's kind of on that outer edge. If the big ball is too much, you can find that smaller one. Oh, that's better. Roll it around, find the spot. And this is the cool part. You can just chill out, you can lay on the floor, you can rock around on it, whatever floats your boat. Getting into that glute feels really good. Don't be afraid to move the ball around or move your body around on the ball. You might find some other areas that are quite tight. You'll find that with the ball, it's more a trigger point kind of a therapy rather than rolling around like I did with the hamstring. All right, I'm going to swap sides. Lifting the butt, setting it down, finding the spot. Moving your legs around until you find that one spot that you can just sit on and breathe. Get to know your body. Get to know the tight spots. Because when you know where they are, it's easy to go back there and it's quicker. You don't have to go over so much surface to find it. You kind of know the bits that keep locking up. Big ball, little ball, doesn't matter. All right. So the next one that we're going to do is called the ITB, and it's a band that runs down the side of our leg. Now this one here, it's a band, so it's not a muscle. It's a, oh God, I don't have the words. But essentially, it's in between, kind of like on the side of your hip. If you find your hip bone, and then trace your hand to the outer side, it's kind of in there. And you'll know it when you get a ball and you jam it in there. So find the spot. I like to keep the ball on the floor, and I like to roll my body, find the spot in the hip, and I like to roll my body over and onto it. And then from here, you can sort of wriggle yourself around and relax. Woo, and you will find that sucker. The word is literally on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me after I press stop. Oh, but you will feel it, that's for sure. So just getting that ball in there, applying that level 4 pressure, and again, getting it to release. If the small ball is too small, you can try a bigger one. But a little bit harder to find that balance and that release spot. Go what works with you. All right, the other side, because we're doing the whole lot. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to find that point of my hip. I'm going to roll over onto it. And I'm just going to hang out. Now, this is done on the floor, obviously, but you can also do it up against the wall as well. I find that doing it up against the wall is a great way to add less pressure because you're in control of how much weight or how much pressure that you place on the ball in that spot. Whereas here, I've got my whole body weight down. I'm not trying to lift myself up off it and remove some weight from the ball. So if you find that these areas are just too much right now to get into, know that you can stand up against the wall, pop your body in the same position, and roll around on the wall with this. It's really nice. I also find that when I do this in the evening, that it helps me to drop into that sort of state just before you go to bed. Wind down. And to be honest, it's pretty much the only time that I really stop and roll around on the floor and do nothing. I'm not a big one for sitting. Can't really hold my attention for very long and very rarely can sit through a movie anymore. But foam rolling is one of those things that you're kind of actively recovering. All right, that feels pretty good. All right, so that's the ball. Now, the next thing that we're going to do with the ball, and I'm going to swap it to the golf ball because it's really hard and it feels amazing. But ideally, you're going to take your shoes off because it feels good. But with your shoes off, you can literally just place that ball under your foot and roll around. And to be honest, I do this most mornings. I get straight out of bed and I put my foot on a ball just for a couple of minutes or so. It feels really nice. And again, you can roll around and find those tight spots, especially with whatever type of training that you're enjoying at the moment. Your feet, they carry you everywhere. And if it wasn't for our feet, then we wouldn't be able to do it. The other cool thing about standing up and doing this is that I can apply as much or as little pressure as I want, and I can use a combination of movement or just that trigger point, holding it, getting it to release, finding the next spot. There's no right or wrong. There's no rules, just roll around. The other side. I used to keep a golf ball in the shower and do this in the shower, but I don't know how I ever managed it, to be honest, because it's so bloody slippery. You put your bare foot on it and whoop, out goes the golf ball. So it's great in theory, but practical, nah. Just feels delicious. And again, you could stay here 2 minutes on each leg. It's just lovely. So that's the golf ball, nice and easy, and everyone can get a hold of those. Now the last couple of ones that I'm going to show you, I'll use my little knee mat, but you can use a foam block if you've got one. Popping it down onto the floor, bringing that knee down. I go this way so you can see. And then just coming into a hip flexor stretch. So ideally, we want to make sure that our knee and our ankle is in alignment and that my pelvis is nice and neutral. And I'm thinking about tucking my pelvic bone, my pubic bone, sorry, up towards my nose. So you can see that shift here as I open out through that hip flexor and draw that stretch and length through here. Just breathe. It's not too tight, not too crazy. If you're wanting to extend that length or extend that stretch, again, making sure that we've come up, tucking that pelvis towards your nose, and then from there, I'm simply just going to push forward from the hip. Now with stretching, you can passively stretch by moving into it, or you can statically hold by breathing and trying to melt and create length. Whatever feels right for you, at the end of the day, do it. I like using a little bit of both. I like actually tucking that pubic bone up and then pushing forward. I can literally feel that stretch come all the way out. Then I let it go, tuck, stretch, come back. So just coming in and out of that stretch, I find I can get more and more length, which is really lovely. I might do 6 or 8 reps on one side, nice and slowly. I can see here I'm getting quite a bit of range, and it feels quite comfortable as well. So I'm not going beyond what my body is comfortable doing. You can stay there on those stretches for as little or as long as you like. It's the consistency that you're doing it. Swapping legs, just coming up into that right angle first. I'm thinking about tucking my pelvis towards my nose and getting that first stretch before I then start to encourage more length. And then from here, just pushing forward that little bit, coming out. Tuck, push. And again, this is just what works for me. It might work for you. Give it a go. And again, these kind of stretches is things that we're not unfamiliar with. It comes up in a lot of our programming and our stretching. You can do it anywhere. This side I've got a lot more tightness than the other. But from doing these stretches and foam rolling and being really consistent with it, I'm 100% aware of all of the tight spots in my body now so that I can really nurture it. And if I really don't have time to do all of my routine, I know that I'm just going to hit that one side that is super tight. Yeah, this is definitely the side today. Some other ways that you can increase the stretch, guys, without actually pushing more into it is your upper body as well. So taking your arms up above your head, you might like to grab hold of your wrist, draw your body up, and then even lean over to one side. Super easy things that is going to encourage more length in your body. Feels pretty good. All right, so that's hip flexor. And then with the band, we can move into a couple of banded things here. So with the band, this can be really good for your quads. Essentially, it's like another variation of the couch stretch. A couch stretch, just put really quickly, is if you've got like a bench or a couch or a block or something, you can actually anchor your foot up on it to get that stretch down through your hip flexor and your quads. I'm going to use a band for it, and it's going to help me to assimilate this exactly the same. If you've got a yoga block, have it handy just in case you need to hang on to something for stability. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Might be good, might be shit. I'm just basically going to rest my top of my foot in that band. I'm going to find that position, and this is why those the block or the pad is really good, because now my knee's really going to cop it, but I don't feel it because that pad is super comfy. I'm just going to bring that band up and over my shoulder and encourage that length deeper down my hip flexor, but I can also feel it in the quad. My balance is a little bit off, so I know that I've got my foam block here if I need it for stability. And from here, what else I really like about it, guys, I'm not going to move my head position because it's really comfy here. But what else I like about it is I have a really tight trap or traps. And I often work at a desk and I can find my whole body sort of shifting up. What I like about the band in this particular stretch is it's another little bit of a precursor to another stretch, because it's allowing me a little bit of space here as the pressure pulls down on my shoulder. I can come into my really nice neck stretches here. And if I gently take my hand on my head or my ear, I can encourage a little bit more length through my neck, through my traps, having the assistance of the band. But I know that I'm also working that length through my quad and my hip flexor here as well. Again, there's no rules. You can move your head around. Go with what works for you or what feels good. Holding that stretch a little bit deeper through my hip flexor. I'm still thinking about bringing my pubic bone towards my nose, but I can really feel it through that quad now as well. You don't have to do it with a band. If you're super flexible, you might be able to grab your foot and bring it up as well. I really like the band for those other benefits through my neck and just creating length through there as well. To get out, remove the band first and take that knee away. And what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. Make sure you get your hair out the way because it will rip hairs out of you. I start gently with that over my shoulder first. Get that stretch, get my balance, and then I can add a little bit more if I need it. Again, thinking about bringing my pubic bone towards my nose, lengthening through that hip flexor, getting some length out of that quad, and then using that band as a bit of leverage to pull my trap away from my ear and create some space in my neck. When was the last time you took 5 minutes out for yourself? And when I say 5 minutes, it's probably been about half an hour now, maybe more. But this is my whole lower body sort of stretching routine. So it can take me up to half an hour, sometimes more, depending if I'm feeling the stretching, and if I wanted to sit in a little bit longer, you can make it longer. But I find that if I am short on time, I might pick 1 or 2 to do. I've always got to hit my quaddies and hammies. And I usually always get the ball under my feet because that one's just a really easy one to add throughout the day. A golf ball under your foot. All right, and the last one here, guys, is the adductor stretch. So we've done some foam rolling through the adductors, but again, if you're short on time or you don't have that equipment or you're just wanting a different stretch from a different side, I'm just going to lay down. I'm using my broken band that I've repurposed, and I'm going to bring it over my foot into the crown of that little middle part of my foot. And then from here, it's kind of like my foot's in a stirrup, and I'm using this as a bit of stability. I'm going to draw my toe back towards my nose and keep my foot nice and straight. So this here is definitely stretching out through my hamstring. But a double whammy here is once you're done, you can literally take it out to the side and allow that foot to drop down. But I've got my band here to really bring me some support. I can relax into the stretch. My foot's not going to drop to the floor because I've got it in my hand, and I can feel a really lovely stretch down that inside of my thigh. It allows me the opportunity to relax into it and to create a little bit more length. I can deepen the stretch as my muscles starts to relax. That foot is naturally going to come further and further towards the floor. Or if I feel like it's a little bit too much, I can simply just pull on the resistance band and bring it back to a level that I can feel more comfortable to melt into. Again, it's your pace, it's your body. You move it around. I like moving it around. Can't sit still. You can pull all the way out of there. Come back to that hammy stretch, flex that toe down. Make sure you keep your leg nice and straight. There's no point doing a hammy stretch if your knee is flexed, so make sure we get it nice and straight first. It might have great range of motion. It might sit back here, and that's totally okay. Just remember that wherever it is, that's it for now, and it's not forever. The more you do it, the better it'll get, the better you'll feel. The other thing that you can do, here's a bit of a trifecta, is you can bring that over the other side as well. Try and keep your shoulders onto the ground And again, use that band as a bit of leverage to just guide you into that position. This one here is a nice stretch through that lower back and around that ITB area that we got the ball into before. But because you've got that band, I feel really supported to just hang out there for a little minute. All we're trying to do is encourage length. Give back to the body. Unwind. I wish someone had taught me this 14 years ago, because I would have been able to develop the discipline to do it and build that resilience or that discipline to do it every day or every second day, so that it wasn't so much later on. So I hope this inspires you to just start now. All right, so swapping those legs, I've certainly put my foot in the band, taking the other one out. Again, I'm going to come into my hammy stretch first. Just try and melt here, get a bit of length. When you're stretching, I was always taught, or have been taught multiple times the same thing, but when you first find that first stretch, you just have to sort of wait and melt and wait for that first initial stretch to dissipate. And when it does, that's when you can sort of breathe in, ask for a little bit more out of the stretch, and then exhale. You can really feel that stretch deepen, but it's still at a really comfortable pace for me to be able to sit and melt into and encourage that little bit more length. So you can really use your breath to relax your muscles, which we know, but it's pretty cool when you actually use it and feel the benefits. I've always been super flexible in my hamstrings, and I'm never too far off doing the forwards, backwards splits. I reckon if I had a really good crack at it, I could get the splits on both sides. All right, so from here, I'm going to take that foot out and encourage that little bit of length down my adductor, that inner part of my thigh, but I've also got the support of the band to allow me to drop in and rest a little easier there. Feeling that stretch, but it's just not too much that I can't sustain it. These bands are awesome in the gym, and they last quite a while, but they do break over time. So maybe reach out to your gym and ask if there's any broken bands, because we would love to help you take one home and use it for as long as you can. Repurposed. All right, I'm just going to take that foot up, plant my opposite shoulder down, and bring that foot over the other side. I feel so relaxed now. I don't know how long we've been here for, but I feel very relaxed. I also feel achieved because I've gone through my whole lower body and I've hit all of the bits that are important to me and my performance, and I've made sure that I've listened in, I've melted, and I've tried different variations of myofascial release, whether it be the foam roller, the band, or the ball. There is something for you to try. Be curious, give it a go, and please try and make it a part of your lifestyle. Little bits each and every day, just like brushing your teeth, and it will really help to keep your mobility, your performance, your function, and that mental well-being of living and having an active, healthy lifestyle for as long as you possibly can. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got a little bit out of this video and that you were able to stretch and foam roll with me today. And if there's anything that I can cover in future, feel very welcome to reach out and let me know, because I love to communicate and I love to inspire. And if I can inspire you, even in a very small way, it would make a great impact in my life. So thank you.